So we got a bit of a hilarious story for you folks. Rabbi Shmuley is back in the news. And anytime a story featuring Rabbi Shmuley appears, you know there's going to be some sort of a laugh riot because Rabbi Shmuley is a character. He is a caricature of everything that supposedly he's fighting against, but amplifies it in a means to try to make himself the victim once again, ladies and gentlemen. And it backfires so immensely that people just automatically react to insane fits of laughter. Because that's mostly what you could say about Rabbi Shmuley, is that he is a caricature of just the stereotypes of what he's fighting, it's supposed to be fighting against, and he turns out to put it onto himself to make himself the victim, and it's just an absolute embarrassment all around. So, this is from the New York Post, and even the New York Post can't really spin this around, because we know that the New York Post, very highly influentially, Israeli first, they try to push everything, but even they could not spin this around to make Rabbi Shmuley, the victim of this. So, bombshell lawsuit reveals massive dispute between America's rabbi and Condo board over wild anti-Semitic claims. That's right, Rabbi Shmuley versus the Condo board. Like a comic book. Like a comic book villain. You can get it at your local bookstore. America's rabbi versus the anti-Semitic Condo board of New York City. I bet you know where this is going, folks. So in the article it says, Oy vey, Rabbi Shmuley, an influential American rabbi and television personality, and father of daughter and father dildo salespeople. Oh, it doesn't say that. That should correct it. Add that in. Has allegedly likened $710 amenity space fees for his luxury Manhattan condominium to the Nazi regime. A $710 fee for using space in a luxury condominium to a Nazi regime. Oh boy. Oh boy. This is already hysterical as is. That's the tip of the iceberg regarding the dispute between the self-styled America's rabbi and his building, which stems from him allegedly failing to pay rental and cleaning fees for a common room used to hold a memorial service for an Israeli October 7th victim. These details were first outed in a lawsuit filed Thursday in Manhattan Supreme Court by the board managers of 2 Waterline Square, which requested a permanent injunction against the rabbi and accused him of private nuisance, defamation, and a breach of contract. Rabbi Shmuley? No. Come on. He's America's favorite jokester. He'll provide you a lime-colored dildo under your Christmas tree this year. Again, this guy is the ultimate caricature, and all he can do is laugh because it's just absolutely hysterical and embarrassing what he's trying to do. He's trying to make this an anti-Semitic attack when it isn't. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, whose legal name is Jacob Boteach, how you say it, Boteach? I don't know. Purchased a $4.47 million condo in the luxury development in 2022, according to city records, and is cited in the complaint. His wife, Deborah Boteach, is also named in the complaint for breach of contract as a co-owner of their condo unit. His present conflict with the condo's board arose from Boteach held 2 gatherings in the building's 18th floor common room without making a reservation or paying the accommodating building fees, according to the court documents. One of the gatherings, held in May, was in honor of Shani Luik, a 22-year-old German-Israeli woman who was murdered by Hamas on October 7, 2023. Boteach hosted Luke's father, Nissim Luik, at the event, according to the documents. Boteach was billed $710 for the May event and another one on September, according to the complaint. in keeping with the building's rules, a $500 rental fee, and a $210 cleaning fee. The total fees added to Boteach's account amounted to $1,420 plus $400 in late fees. This luxury condo, do they have the same rules as Blockbuster? Late fees. Nope. I never thought we'd go back to those terms. There's a $400 late fee for not paying the building condo fees to use a common room. God. Boteach was not only refused to pay the fees, the complaint says, he has also publicly accused the condo board and its members of anti-Semitism. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is just hysterical on so many levels. And this is ultimately why this rise of anti-Semitism, all the supposed crimes that are happening, all the footage we have shown of Zionists going up to Jewish people, going up to rabbis, antagonizing them, provoking some sort of violent outbreak to make it look like an anti-Semitic attack. This is why you're losing so much credibility. This is why no one believes these stories, these hyped up narratives of anti-Semitism is on the rise, that college campuses are not safe for Jewish people. This is why no one believes it, because of stuff like this. Okay? This is not an attack on Jewish people. This is a standard bullshit Manhattan story. Okay? You rent a multi-million-dollar condo, there's going to be bullshit fees attached to it. And knowing Rabbi Shmuley and where he comes from and his daughter and his businesses, his daughter's businesses, I can't, this is not a money issue for him, but it's the opportunity to make it look like it's an anti-Semitic attack, because obviously Rabbi Shmuley takes the opportunity to embarrass himself. This is embarrassment on him. This is really an embarrassment on him. On anything. Boteach is not only, okay, we already read that. I will not be punished for so this is what he says. This is what Rabbi Shmuley says. I will not be punished for having a few friends over to comfort a Jewish father whose daughter was murdered by Hamas, Boteach wrote in a September email circulated throughout Waterline, as documented in the complaint. Waterline will be in the national news for their attempt to squash memorials for Jews murdered by Hamas, as is happening in other places all around the country, and who are being sued for it. Boteach took to Facebook in September, as cited in the court documents, publicly calling out the board in a fiery post. In a September 10th post, Boteach called the back and forth with the board a shameful saga. Jews have been long... Oh, God, this is going to get hilarious. Jews have long been punished, not only for living, but for mourning, Boteach wrote, as seen in the court documents. In medieval Europe... In medieval Europe, rulers charged Jews extortionate fees for burials or denied them entirely. In Nazi Germany, Jewish funerals were forbidden. Bodies were dumped into pits. Families denied Kaddish. Now in Manhattan, a rabbi is threatened with dire legal consequences for hosting a tiny memorial for Shani Luik. Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. Can we, if there's a way we could start a, yearly Karen Award, this guy gets the top honor. This guy gets the top honor for most embarrassing Karen of the year. Comparing condo disputes and paying a fee for cleaning services to Nazi Germany and medieval Europe. Holy crap. Holy crap. Wow. Oh my God. This isn't like his last complaint where him and his daughter hosted a sex toy convention and they were absurd. They're absurd by the maid services. They compared it to Auschwitz. Like, come on. This is too much. This is too much. The board in the complaint called the contents of the September 10th post an objectively false comparison. Gee, you think? Having to pay for condo fees in a multi-million-dollar condominium in Manhattan. Gee, you wonder why people voted for a Muslim socialist in New York City. You wonder why that is. If they're complaining about these cleaning fees I have to pay for in a luxury condo in Manhattan. Oh my God, this is too much. In a subsequent October email circulated to the board, as also seen in the court documents, Boteach referred to the May 2025 charge as a disgusting, abusive, anti-Semitic, Israel-hating bill. Not like legal bill or political bill, but just a charge. I got charged a certain amount for hosting an event in a common place of a luxury condominium. Oh my God, what an anti-Semitic, what an anti-Semitic Israel-hating bill that is. Oh my God. I almost can't even do this story because of just how hilarious this is, but I have to show it to you because it's so insane. This is a blatantly anti-Semitic assault on my rights as an Israeli-loving Jew, Boteach told the Post. He added that the $3,000 a month he pays the building and fees includes the use of amenity spaces. Okay, so that I actually kind of agree with. That I can understand why that's frustrating because, you know, you've already paid your rent to the building. You would think that would be included. You would think that would be included with the fees that you're paying to live in the building. Like, I understand that. I get that. So I agree with that statement. But comparing that to medieval Europe and Nazi Germany, holy crap. Is that far-fetched? He said that the use of the space for the memorial in May, which he described as a gathering of 8 people, did not meet the number required to make a formal reservation. Boteach also denied that a second gathering occurred in September. Nissim Lewick authored a June op-ed in the Israel National News decrying the building's response to Boteach's event for his daughter. Boteach said he has experienced blatant harassment within the building and claimed he is watched and spied on like a hawk to see if I'm doing anything for Israel. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine paying $3,000 a month to live in a condo building in Manhattan and realizing that Rabbi Shmuley is your neighbor? Can you imagine that? After everything we know about this guy, after the fact that he is just a blatant serial liar, and that's what this is. It's a lie. It's manufactured consent to make himself the victim, embarrass himself, put him through this agony to make himself feel like he's the one being victimized, even though he's the one that's victimizing the rest of the condo building. He's the one antagonizing. He's the one freaking out because it's not about money. It's just the fact that he takes the opportunity to say, oh, it's an anti-Semitic attack. As if, you know, the other tenants of the condo don't have to pay the same fees. Like, come on. Come on. Well, if it wasn't for those Arabs in the condo board in Manhattan, New York, that'd be a Michael Rappaport statement right there. That's what he would respond to. If it wasn't for those Arabs in control of Hollywood and Manhattan condo buildings, then the Jewish Zionists will finally pick up We will get our opportunity. He added he plans to file a counterclaim, and this charge is all about punitive measures to ensure that Israel is not mentioned in the building. The board members of 2 Waterline Square condominium, represented by Adam Littman Bailey, claim that the rental and cleaning fees are uniformly charged to every resident that uses the common room. Yeah, again, this is not an anti-Semitic thing. This is not a Jewish thing. This is a Manhattan thing. This is a typical Manhattan apartment. I'm sure condos in Toronto do the same thing. You're paying that much to rent a condo in a multi-million-dollar building. Yeah, there's going to be these fees and services, which understandably, I agree with the statement he said before about why it's not attached to his rental fee. I understand that. That should be part of the package deal. But making absurd claims like this is only going to embarrass yourself, Rabbi Shmuley. It's only an embarrassment to you. And people are going to look at this. Even the New York Post can't even spin this around in the direction for Rabbi Shmuley. And people are going to read this, and it's going to be an absolute embarrassment. And that's why no one takes anti-Semitic claims seriously because of stuff like this, because they know there's a lot of false narratives. We know that they push this around. Just like years ago when the Democrats and the left pledged everything was racist. They did that whole Jesse Smollett attack and falsifying a racist claim. Racist and homophobic, by the way. That turned out to be false. It turned out to be a manufactured stunt. And that just made the situation more embarrassing, just like this. Beyond resolving the alleged breach of contract, they simply want to stop bullying their residents and to cease from violating the building's rules, Littman Bailey told the Post. The complaint alleges further instances of individual harassments against the board and building staff by Boteach in publications and personal encounters. So it turns out he's the bully. Turns out he's the bully. Wow. Wow. You would think that the condo board, don't they do background checks? I thought that was, when you sign up to lease a part of a building and you rent an apartment, don't they have to do background checks? Don't they have to look at like credit scores, criminal records, past behavior? Wouldn't this be a red flag that Rabbi Shmuley is going to rent a condo in your building, even though there's many claims of harassment done by him? Come on. Wow. The board asked Boteach to halt any and all behavioral intended or reasonable expected to create and continue disruption in the luxury address, to cease making and publishing allegations of religious animus and or bigotry on the part of the board of managers and their agents and employees, and aims for damages to be determined in court. A majority of the board members are Jewish, Littman Bailey added. So again, Rabbi Shmuley is making an embarrassment of himself by doing this. And this is why the claims of anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic hate crimes rising about is losing touch with people. People are not believing it. It's losing credibility because of this. Because of this ridiculous slew of falsehoods to make it look like there's an anti-Semitic crime, when really it's Rabbi Shmuley and other Zionists, pro-Israel Zionists, embarrassing themselves and purposely making themselves look like the victim. Even though they're actually being the aggressor. They're the ones actually being the bully. They're the ones stoking violence. And we've seen this numerous times before. This isn't governance. It's a crook led by Nancy Chen, Randy Wax, and June Hu, and Absti Dan Senior. And it comes wrapped in the same anti-Semitic whitewash we saw when they targeted us for honoring Shani Luik, said Boteach in a September press release, as seen in the complaint. So now he's viciously going after the board members. Dan Senior, a condominium board member and predominant American columnist, and Randy Wax, the board's president, were specifically called out by Boteach in an email as supposed champions of Israel. Senior is involved in Jewish causes. Wax is involved in philanthropic causes for Israel. Another board member, Shmuel Klinger. Come on. Come on. This is too much. This is too much. This is too much. Another board member, Shmuel Klinger, is an Israeli citizen and veteran of the Israeli Defense Forces. Boteach accused him of being fraudulently elected to the board, according to an email cited by the complaint. So, wait a second. Isn't that anti-Semitic? Isn't that anti-Semitic? That you're accusing an Israeli citizen, an Israeli Jew, of being fraudulently selected to be a board member because of his background? Aren't you being anti-Semitic, Rabbi Shmuley? This is how hysterical all this is. How hysterical. Just absolutely amazing that this has gone as long as it had, back and forth, over the most insidious stupidity that, oh my God, condo fees. I had to pay cleaning services to use the common room for a memorial service, and I'm going to use the opportunity to bash against the board members and call it anti-Semitic. Wow. Instead of compassion, on Friday, Boteach took to Facebook, tagging Waterline and quoting a message of support for Boteach attributed to Nissan Luik. Instead of compassion, Rabbi Shmuley was confronted by a building manager, ignored by the manager's superiors, and threatened with legal action by the company's attorney, the posted statement said. The statement shared by Boteach concludes, how can a memorial for a young woman murdered by terrorists be turned into a legal issue? Because in the legal case, it's not about the memorial. It's the fact that you're a bad tenant. And legally, if you're being subpoenaed by the board members, if you're going to be held accountable for the harassment, for the bullying, for the things that you're doing in the building, they can legally kick you out. They can legally kick you out. So, either way, this is not good for Rabbi Shmuley. This shows what an embarrassment, a caricature, what a con artist this guy is. The same guy that stood in front of Anne Frank's house doing a Facebook Live, and when a DoorDash delivery person stopped their bike in front of the house, he immediately assumed that DoorDash delivery guy was doing an anti-Semitic attack on him. Oh, are you threatening me? Are you harassing me? No, I'm doing a delivery across the street, dumbass. This is why it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. But he's not stopping, because here's Rabbi Shmuley on X here, doubling down on this, doubling down on the embarrassment here. Waterline Free Palestine Square sued me over about 10 people who gathered in May to remember Shani Luik. Well, wait a second. I thought you said it was only 8. Now you're saying it's about 10. So already he's lying about his story. He's lying about his story, his alias, about how many people he had in attendance. Murdered by Hamas and confronted by her father Nassim, who came from Israel. Seems like they spend millions in legal fees to punish me and allegedly keep Israel from ever being mentioned or celebrating the building. They have an IDF soldier as a building manager. It's such an absurd claim that, oh, we're going to try to target it so Israel's not mentioned in the building. Your board member is an Israeli citizen and a former IDF soldier. Try to square that up. Try to square up that claim. The manager, the thoroughly execrable Jun Hu, told me you people, referring to my Jewishness, never appreciate anything that anyone has ever done for us. We Jews, board member Nancy Chen, told me that my conduct as a rabbi who honors Israel is disgraceful. In other words, who are you to foist Israel on the rest of the building? Answer, I'm an owner. I have rights. and it has very tiny meaning to and it was a tiny meeting to confront the behavior great father of a woman murdered by Hamas monsters. I'm a citizen. I have rights. I'm a Jew. I am proud. I'll fight anti-Semitism whenever I find it. The complicity of Dan Senor is especially disgusting, and I will be fully exposed. We'll never surrender. # never again. So we already just saw in the article how embarrassing this whole story is. And rather than Rabbi Shmuley explaining that I went overboard, claiming this was anti-Semitic, and really this has to do with the fact that I just don't want to pay legal cleaning fees for a common room that I'm using in this multi-million-dollar condominium, he's going to further relish in this. He's going to further embarrassing himself, making a mockery of all this, and people watching this with a functioning brain cell that's not imposed in this cult is going to know that this is ridiculous. This is another false flag, hence why no one's believing all these anti-Semitic claims that are happening. All the rise of anti-Semitism that's exploding immediately, as opposed to the last, hundreds and hundreds of years. All of a sudden now, anti-Semitism is on the rise. Maybe it's because all these false stories. Maybe because the false flags. Maybe because people are pointing the finger at other people and assuming it's anti-Semitic. As I said, just like a couple years ago, we did the same thing for racists. Oh, you're a racist because I just believe you are a racist. We can't actually prove it or document it, and we manufacture a bunch of false flags and narratives to do that. So they're doing the same thing for anti-Semitism. This is another, Juicy Smollett case. Is that how you say it? Juicy Smollett? That's the Dave Chappelle saying that guy's name. I think it's Jussie Smollett. I know it's French. That's as far as I know. But I just want to show people before we end this. This is what Rabbi Shmuley is. And this is why Rabbi Shmuley is a caricature. This guy is a cartoon. This guy is a laughingstock and embarrassment to not only just himself, not only to the condo, not only in the story that we just showed you, but embarrassment to the whole preachings of what it takes to be a proper Jew in his eyes. Because in the words of Ben Shapiro, they're the good Jews, and then there's, self-hating Jews. Those are the people that actually care about children. And here's Rabbi Shmuley on video, captured on camera, going up and grinding on some little kid. You think I'm kidding, but look at this. Look how sick this. That's insane. That's Rabbi Shmuley for you. And you can see the caption here. It says, Jewish religious leader Rabbi Shmuley with a minor. That's a young kid in a costume. And Rabbi Shmuley's doing a lap dance in front of the kid. That kind of behavior, is that what you want in a condo building? Again, if you were a tenant, realizing that Rabbi Shmuley was your neighbor, knowing all this, I think you'd probably want to leave. I think you would probably make an excuse to get out of that building. I know I paid a year-to-year lease on the condo, but I'd rather sleep in a tent than having to deal with this. Because that's crazy. That is crazy. Here's another example. As Jeff Epstein pointed out, this is a parody account. It says the way Rabbi Shmuley acts around kids is disgusting. Notice how he touches the child's nipple. This is someone that apparently is the victim of the board members, because God forbid someone had to pay for a cleaning fee to use the common room. Oh my God, my multi-million-dollar condo in New York City is charging me a cleaning service to make sure that building stays pristine. Like every other resident has to do accordance to that building. It's obviously anti-Semitic. But here's, again, Rabbi Shmuley just being an embarrassment. This is him trying to own on Candace Owens, by the way. That's why he has the money shirt. It says the Candace Jew. Because he was trying to, fight back on Candace Owens, who made a statement, which he thinks is an anti-Semitic claim. So what does Rabbi Shmuley do? Not come with an actual good argument to go against Candace Owens, but he's going to further embarrass himself. He's going to wrap himself up with every single stereotype and make himself a clown in order to somehow own Candace Owens in this. How is that going, by the way? How's that going, by the way? That Candace Owens is now the number one podcaster in the world. In the world. And this guy is, again, just a huge embarrassment. A huge embarrassment to do this. Look at this. And he's in front of kids. Oh my God. Yeah. Would you want that near your kids? Do you want that near your family? This is a guy, again, a guy who dresses up like this, who does a lap dance on a minor, who him and his daughter run a kosher sex toy industry, and goes around from media sphere to media sphere complaining about the rise of anti-Semitism because, oh my God, people are critical of me. Even though this is most of his social media feed. Being a laughingstock, being a tool, being an absolute disgrace. An absolute disgrace. Why? Why would you do all this? Why would you do all this and then assume that you're going to get away with it? And when someone criticizes your behavior, which clearly that condo board is suspecting you have awful behavior, you go and scream about anti-Semitism. Why would you do that, Rabbi Shmuley? Oh, that's right. Because it's done by design. You took the opportunity, instead of actually dealing with this like a grown-up and dealing with this legal action in a private matter, you're going to explode it, make an embarrassment of yourself to try to go after board members who are Jewish and claim it's an anti-Semitic crime. Not only that, an anti-Semitic crime that's relatable to Nazi Germany and medieval Europe. How embarrassing it's got to be. I'm even embarrassed, and I'm not even Jewish. I feel embarrassed. Like, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Can you imagine someone standing in line at Starbucks takeout and complaining about the price of a chai latte and then using the excuse of my ancestors? Do you see how that is? My ancestors died in Civil War, so I didn't have to pay $10 for a chai latte with extra sprinkles at Starbucks. Oh, man. Rabbi Shmuley, ladies and gentlemen, if there was a Karen of the Year award, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should do that for like a year-end special. The Karen of the Year award definitely goes to this guy. He is definitely the top contender because this is a mockery and embarrassment, and it's just laughable from the get-go of Rabbi Shmuley once again claiming anti-Semitism on something that is not anti-Semitic. Not target Jewish people. It's a standard New York BS situation. You pay for a luxury condo in Manhattan, this is what you're getting. And considering the fact that this is a troublesome tenant, as they claim, it makes me kind of wonder if there's more to this matter than cleaning fees. If more to the matter than hosting a memorial for an October 7th victim. If maybe this has to do with the fact that Rabbi Shmuley is who he is. He's a disgusting personality, a just mockery, and a charade, just an absolute caricature of everything. And the board's catching up to realize, yeah, that's kind of the case. And like I said, I feel bad for the other tenants. Can you imagine paying that much amount of money and realizing this is your neighbor? A guy who grinds on minors, who dresses up provocatively in front of children, and does and embarrasses himself by causing legal dispute for the entire building, claiming that he's being persecuted in an anti-Semitic attack against him, because God forbid he used a common room to host a Jewish memorial. And really, it's a standard cleaning fee that all the tenants have to pay. It's just so embarrassing. So embarrassing.